I want to tell you guys the story of Socrates because I think he's fascinating and I'm on like a rabbit hole. I'm obsessed with him right now. And I think most people don't actually know the story of Socrates, like the full story, so I'm going to tell it to you. I think you're going to like it. Socrates was this guy who lived in Athens like 2,500 years ago. And he had kids. In this, when this story takes place, he's like 70 years old, and he's kind of like this philosopher slash teacher. He just wanders around talking to people. That's essentially what he does. He just gets into conversations with people, and he likes to know like wise people. He likes to find people who are like the top of their crafts and ask them questions. And he didn't really have a lot of money. People just kind of like gave him room and board or traded him things for his insight into the things he learned from all of these other people. So at one point, this guy goes to the Oracle of Delphi because the Oracle of Delphi knows all of the answers of the world. And he comes back and he says, "The Oracle of Delphi told me that no man is wiser than Socrates." He told Socrates that. And Socrates is like, "What the heck? I don't know anything. Like, I genuinely am not an expert on anything. I don't have any answers about life. Like, how could the Oracle of Delphi think that I'm the wisest?" So he's like, "I'm going to prove it wrong." And he went on a mission to go find people who were wiser than him. So he went to like the best craftsmen, the best poets, the best politicians known all throughout Athens. And he started getting in conversations with them to try to like prove basically that they were smarter than him or wiser than him. And these conversations began with like basically like, what is pious? What does pious mean? Like, how could you define pious or piousness or justice or kind of like right and wrong and good and evil? Like, he wanted to get to the root of what these things were. At least those are the conversations that you read about in 5 Dialogues written by Plato. And as he was having these conversations, he realized that like people believed they knew the answer. They were very confident with their information, but it was like circular reasoning. Like they would say, piousness is what is good, what the gods believe is good. And he said like, well, do the gods believe that it's good because it's pious, or is it pious because the gods believe it's good? And how do you know what the gods believe is good? Like, and they just kept getting into these circular reasonings, and he would realize essentially that they didn't have answers. They were just repeating what they had been told, which was like, pious is good, justice is right and fair, but nobody knows who determines what's right and fair. Nobody could define those ideas. And so basically he would just prove that they didn't actually know. And so he would say like, I know I don't know, but you think you know, but you don't actually know. And all of these young people were kind of following him around and listening to these conversations. And so what ended up happening was these politicians, these craftsmen, the top of their trade people started to look a little bit foolish because they claimed to know the answers and then they couldn't prove anything. And so they would get furious, they got embarrassed, and they took Socrates to court, and they said that he's corrupting the youth with these conversations he's having. And the court deemed that this was true and that Socrates, well, and basically the outcome was that Socrates had to die. He had to die through poisoning. And because Socrates believed in justice, he said, like, I have lived in my whole life in Athens. Like, this is the community that raised me, that gave me life, that created me. And so if this community believes that I should die because I'm corrupting the youth, then I have no choice but to honor that. So instead of looking for a way out of it or escaping with the money of the people who followed him around, he just took the poison and died. But nowadays we still have this concept called the Socratic method, which involves like asking questions to get to the very root of things. Like, you're not allowed with the Socratic method to just say like, I do that because it's good and because it's moral. Because you have to define like, who decides what's good and moral. And if good and moral differs from community to community, then who's to say that you have the answer and those people don't? Like if you do what you do because you think it's good and moral, and you're angry or hateful towards somebody who does what they do because they think it's good and moral, but their decision is different from yours, then basically you're one of those people that Socrates would say has no basis for truth. Like you're creating your own circular reasoning. Think about that. Love you all. Bye.